Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to get this smoky neutral and silver halo eye. So if you'd like to see how I did it, just keep on watching. So I'm starting off with this Studio Makeup On The Go warm palette, and I'm taking this more neutral transition shade and I'm running that into my crease using the Wet n Wild blending brush. And I do end up building this up quite a bit because I'm going straight in with the dark brown next. Since I don't have another transition shade, I just wanted to make sure that this was nice and blended out and visible. So next I'm going into this dark brown shade on the same brush, and I'm running this into my crease as well, but I'm taking a little bit at a time because I didn't want it to get too dark too fast, because I wanted to make sure that that transition shade remained intact somewhat. And so I'm just slowly building this up. And then I'm also placing this on the inner and the outer third of my eye, since I am doing a halo eye. And then I'm just making sure that it's all blended into the crease and on the outer corner. Next, I'm going into the black from that palette, and I'm taking a small blending brush from e.l.f. because I wanted to make sure that the black didn't get too out of hand. So I first just started building this up little by little in the inner corner and the outer corner of my eye. And then going back into that Wet n Wild brush with no additional product on it, I'm just wiggling it back and forth over the black to make sure it blends nicely into the brown. And then using some concealer, I just cut out the center of my lid. I sped this part up because it's pretty, you've probably seen this done quite a few times, so I didn't want to spend forever showing you how I do it. But this is just kind of showing you the basic outline of how I do it. I cut the center and then I just drag it down, and then I make sure it's blended out into the inner and outer corners. When it comes to a halo eye, I go back and forth between using a wider brush and a smaller brush. This time I'm using a smaller brush, just because I felt like I wanted the precision that a smaller brush can give me. And then going back into that dark brown color, I am just placing that where the concealer meets the inner and outer corner, just to help it blend. And I was going kind of for that V-shaped halo eye, so I made sure to kind of create that shape with the brown. Then I'm going into the Essence Metal Shock eyeshadow in the shade Moon Dust, and I'm using that same brush that I used to cut my center of my lid, because I didn't want to use the wand, because I wanted to make sure this was really precise as well. So I just started placing it in the center, and then I started blending it out. And then I also did go in with my finger to kind of try helping it blend into the outer corner and the inner corner. And then I added a little more just in the center, because that's where I want the most intensity to be. And then going back into that brown one more time on that Wet n Wild brush, I'm just making sure it looks seamless and blended. I go back and forth a lot in between blending, because, I really want it to look as perfect as I possibly can get it. I know it's not probably super perfect, but I just wanted to make sure it looks blended and just flowed from one color to the next. And then I went back into the black just to deepen up the inner and outer corners a little more, because I feel like that black got lost a little. And then going in one more time with the Moon Dust shadow from Essence and just making sure that that center really, really pops. And then I went in with a small angled brush from Wet n Wild and using that dark brown shade, and I'm running that right along the top of that Moon Dust shadow to make sure, well, not to make sure, to make it look as if the most depth and definition is right there and then blends up into my crease. And then starting in on my lower lash line, I went in with that transition color that I used in my crease and ran that all along my lower lashes. And then I ended up going into the dark brown using the same brush. This is a brush from the Vintage Cosmetics company. And I just ran that along my lower lashes as well, but not down as far. And then using a like a flat defining brush from Wet n Wild, I took that black shade and I pressed it right up against my lower lashes. And then I wanted to add a little something extra, so I went in with the Beauty Creations glitter. I believe this is in the shade Galaxy, using the City Color glitter glue, and I just popped that on the center of my lower lash line, mimicking the top part with that metal shock shadow. But I just wanted to give it a little more of a dramatic glam effect, so that's why I wanted to go in with glitter. And then I just dragged that a little further down than the shadows along my lower lash line. And then here's a little up close just to give you an idea of the shape I created with the glitter. And then to coat my top and lower lashes, I went in with the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. To finish off my face, I went in with the e.l.f. bronzer palette with this shade on a fluffy angled brush from Wet n Wild, and I just bronzed up my cheekbones. And then I took the contour palette from e.l.f., taking that darker contour shade on a crown brush, and I used that to carve out my cheekbones and my jawline. And I'm using the e.l.f. bronzer, contour, and the blush palette today just because, you know, I felt like, why not? They're all right there, I'll just use them all. And when it comes to contouring my cheekbones, I make sure I don't go any further down than where my cheekbone actually is, and I like to blend upward to give most of the shadow at the very, very bottom of my cheekbone to fade up nicely into the bronzer. And then I took this more apricot-y, warm-toned shade from the e.l.f. blush palette using the Aesthetica P12 brush, and I just popped that into my cheeks. And for highlight, I went in with the Jcat Beauty highlighter in the shade Crystal Sands on a tapered highlighting brush from Luxie. And I just used that to highlight my cheekbones, my cupid's bow, the tip of my nose, and the bridge of my nose. And then finally for lips, I went in with the Colourpop lippie sticks in the shade Le Freak. Le Freak? Yes, Le Freak. And I just used that all over my lips. And that completes this look. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you in my next one.